Welcome, everyone, and I am super excited to have my dear friend Clare Riordan with me today. Clare is the founder of the Definery. She is a board certified holistic health coach with a master's in human development, and she brings a whole person approach to wellness through mindfulness, nutrition, and movement. She's also a certified menopause coaching specialist, a certified emotional eating health coach, and a certified Pilates instructor. That's a lot of certifications, Clare. Clare helps women navigate big transitions in life with more confidence, self-trust, and ease. Her belief is simple. Getting healthy should not feel like punishment. It can be gentle, effective, and even empowering when we learn to listen to our bodies instead of battling them. Clare, I'm
Yes.
super excited to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. This is exciting. I'm
Awesome.
loving what you're doing. So I'm really flattered that I'm a part of it.
Yes, of course, you were one of the first people I thought of when I decided to launch the Heart Behind the Business series. And so, Clare, let's get started with the heart.
Okay.
What called you into wellness work and what eventually led you to launching the Definery?
So kind of what actually started it was I realized one day that I wasn't a runner, which not, and running is wellness, but I just had this moment of like, I don't really love running. Like I do it, but I don't love it. Do I want to do this when I'm 70? Because you don't ever like graduate from movement. It's not like one day you wake up, you're fit, and you're like, all right, it was a great journey. Let me know when you get there. So I knew that I had to do something that I could continue on in my life. So my first step was just trying to find a modality that I really enjoyed and I knew that I wanted to keep doing. So I took a Pilates class, and at this point in my story, when I tell it, the woman has turned into Helen Mirren. She was not.
Right.
Because I was here. I don't think Helen Mirren was shooting a movie, but um, she was in her 70s. She was much stronger than me. She had the flow down. She was looking really good. And when she left, like she just kind of placed both of her feet underneath her and stood. And I still have to cross my ankles. I can't get off the floor with just parallel feet. So it's still something I'm working on. And, I asked her how long she had been doing it, and she was like, oh, I don't know, like 15, 20 years, something like that. And I thought that is what I want to do. So I pursued Pilates, and then I decided that I loved it so much, it would be great to teach it. And my thought had always been, well, it'll be a part-time thing. Like, I can go teach it part-time. As I started teaching more and clients became more comfortable with me, they started asking me, like, what do you eat? What do you drink? What do you do? And I was like, well, I need to give a better answer than like, well, drink more water kind of thing.
Right.
So that's how I then got into my master's. And I really was like, well, how do I want to approach this? Like, if I'm getting a master's in wellness, like, what is that going to look like? Because it's such
Mm.
a broad theme. So I did human development. My focus was wellness management. And during that time, I also got certified in integrative nutrition. So I'm like, okay, and that was kind of the big thing back then too. Like, what's your intuitive feeling? And I still think it's a great thing. I'm not saying it's not, but you sort of follow the trend. And then after I graduated from that and COVID came into our lives, and I had been working a full-time job and I was doing some part-time Pilates and I was dipping my toe into health coaching, but I had this full-time job, so I didn't think anything of it. And then I got laid off from that job. So I was like, oh. So then I started teaching Pilates. I took on a few more health coaching clients, but I was like waiting tables and still looking for work. Like it was still always this thing off to the side. I'm like, well, it's this thing, it's over here and it's over here. But little by little, like it just looking for a job became less and less as like more clients came in. And then I added helping emotional eaters. I myself have an emotional eating background. I had disordered eating in high school,
Mm.
like sort of an off the cuff comment. And all of a sudden, Claire was
Mm.
at the age of 16 watching her calories and making sure she got all her steps in. And what I learned about any type of emotional eating is that it, I want to say this correctly. I've heard friends of mine who are therapists and counselors say they liken it to um, disordered eating, probably more so into an actual eating disorder, being an alcoholic. It's something that's always with you.
Mhm.
And so you have to learn like what are my triggers? How can I help myself? What's my toolbox? So then that's when I added that certification in. And by the time that came into play, I decided to do it full time. So I had these two certifications. I had the master's. I was fully board certified in Pilates, and I thought, what am I doing? I'm trying to define wellness in a way that includes, nutrition in a way that works for your body specifically, movement in a way that, I mean, for me, it's about Pilates. I do have a Pilates inspired boot camp that as time has gone on, I've added more and more heavier weights because as we're learning, women need weights as well. Um, but I also wanted to incorporate like the mindfulness into it, so that so it doesn't become rote. I feel like in our lives, one of the things that happens is everything is on a schedule.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, sometimes you can't, like I had a client today and we were moving and she was kind of used to doing like a little bit more, a little bit harder. And I had 3 hours of sleep and you still wanted me to come.
Mhm.
So let's listen to your body. What is your body telling you? What is your body saying to you? And then through all of this, I ended up um, getting older and went to a doctor. So this is my last little final bit. And it wasn't my usual doctor. It was a young man who was very sweet, very kind. And I said, well, 50's around the corner, perimenopause, what does it look like? And I could tell he sort of wished I was 32 and wanted to get wanted to get pregnant because he's like, oh God.
Right.
Like,
And he's
well,
answered.
and so I said, well, I know I won't be like my mom because I'm only half of her DNA. And my dad came from a family of boys. So, and my grandmother has passed, so I can't ask her. And he was like, oh, yeah. So then he asked questions like, do you have hot flushes? Do you know? And I'm like, no, not really. And he's like, do you have any unexpected weight gain? And I'm like, no, in my family, we tend to get anxious. So it kind of goes the other direction, which is not better, but that's how we roll. Um, and I did say, I have some anxiety, but I'm also self-employed and it's COVID. And he's like, well, right there. I'm like, yes, but will it feel different? Like,
Mhm.
is there anxiety? And then like anxiety with hormones fluctuating feels different. So in the end, this really kind man was like, well, you're in it or you're not. I'm like, well, I have to be in it. I'm in my late 40s, like, and he's like, well, I can prescribe you something if you would like. And I'm like, but for what?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Exactly. Do I
And
need it? Yeah.
do I need it? Like, and is something coming off that you're like, ooh, she could use XYZ, and again, like, I don't blame this young man. I've since learned that it's changing, but for a long time, there was hardly any time spent on women over the age of 50,
Yeah.
and I was watching Dr. Mary Claire Haber. I'm afraid I'm saying her name wrong, but she um, talked about how when she was coming up through med school, they were called WW. So whiny women, you got a whiny woman in
Oh,
the other room.
oh,
I was like,
wow.
wow. And and she even said, wow, that is what I was taught. So then I had a lot of my clients had been with me for a while, and so they started to hit perimenopause, and they're like, what I did before doesn't work. And it's making me anxious and it's making me angry. But is it also just because I have a hormone influx going on? Like, what is happening to me? So then that's when I went out to also get my certification to become a menopause coaching specialist. And I'm also taking a deeper dive into that. So I'm finishing up sort of a second part. Same company is like, hey, we're doing a slightly deeper dive into, the nutrition and the movement. And if you have a client who's taking a GLP, like, what does that look like? And how you can, promote everyone to get to their next level of fitness, wellness, whatever that looks like for them. So Yeah, I mean, the Definery kind of came about on a side note because I needed to create, like, I was making money from it very haphazardly, but for tax purposes. And the Definery name came about because I was trying to redefine, and I think the refinery or redefinition already was taken. And then it became my job due to getting laid off and actually because of COVID.
Right? You know me, I talk about feather, feather, brick all the time. It's
Yeah,
the universe. We're getting signals, signs from the universe all the different time, and we're like, go away, go away, go away. And then we're hit with that brick. And then that really is that pivotal point, or one of the pivotal points, because I believe that we have multiple pivotal points in our life. And
yeah,
so I'm like hearing for you, yeah, when COVID hits, like I think COVID was, well, obviously a pivotal point for a lot of people. It's like,
yeah.
okay, now I'm forced to hit pause, and I'm forced to decide what it is that I want to move forward with. So amazing. Definitely amazing for you, and launching the Definery and really leaning into your strengths, your power, and your passion, because I definitely feel your passion as you're going through and talking about all the different certifications and why. And I think it's important. Um, so look, now you kind of touched on this a little bit, but if you want to go a little deeper, so looking back, was there one moment when you realized that you wanted to take more of the whole person approach, mind, body, and lifestyle, rather than focusing on just one piece?
Yeah, I think it probably started with Pilates because it's such a mind-body connection in terms of a modality. It's really hard to space out when you're doing that type of movement, whereas that is what I could do when I was running. And I recognize that's how I was not a runner because I would just let my brain go.
Mm.
And I know that people who like run, they're like, "Oh yeah, I focus on my breathing and like what is my pace and that." And I'm like, I am not doing any of that. I'm just like, I want to be done in a half hour. Um, so that was sort of the first step, and also because if you don't pay attention and you're doing even just not just mat is difficult, but like you can injure yourself, right? So I'm like, you need to kind of pull into your body and let things talk to you. Or that woman today who was like, oh God, I just can't do anything. I'm like, your body is telling you, yes, we can move, but let's take it at a slower pace. And then as people started to talk to me about, well, what do you eat? How much water do you drink? What do you recommend? And I was like, I need to know more. And, one of the biggest things you learn with in integrative nutrition is that what works for one person doesn't work for the next,
I
right?
love that. Mm.
Yeah. So, which is why I think it's confusing for people too,
Yeah.
like, because we hear all these things like, oh God, when I was coming up, like paleo was the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and then paleo had, and for some people it's continued to work and that is where they have stayed and they feel energized, they feel great, they have great numbers. And for some people, like, I don't, just doesn't work for me. And, going vegetarian or going vegan, like, we're so inundated with so much information that I
Yeah.
think it's really hard to try to figure out what actually works for yourself. And one of the things on a other level, when I started learning about coaching women in menopause, and I think this actually can go through to anyone in health coaching, is a lot of us don't know what our full is and we don't know what our hunger is,
Mm.
right? So we don't know if we're getting a hunger cue or if we're just kind of bored and sad, or am I tired or do I actually need some energy? And then a lot of people tend to think that full is uncomfortable.
Mm. Right.
Oh, I'm full. I've had enough. I'm uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And, so pulling that into bringing your mind and body together, right? And I think we all know motion is lotion, and it is
Right. You're
really irritatingly, it is kind of a silver bullet, right? It's that thing that you're like, oh, I do better when I go for a walk. I feel happier after I move, and I say to all my clients, I hate the first 2 minutes of working out.
mm-hmm.
I almost said waking up. I do hate the first minute
I
of
know.
waking.
I was like,
Like,
really?
oh, I'm awake and I have to go do my day.
Right.
But because and even though I know at the end I'm going to feel better and I know I'm going to be glad that I did it, and sometimes I'm just happy I did it and it's behind me. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I did that. But, I also do just feel better. I can wake up in a bad mood and then I'm like, well, I got to do this boot camp. Let's go. And then by the end of the boot camp, I'm like, we're good. We're sweaty. We feel good, on with our day. Um, so I just have found that those three things are kind of like, the Holy Trinity, the Golden Triangle, like however you want to look at it. Like, you can have a really great, diet that makes you feel empowered and makes you feel energized, makes you feel really good. You can have a movement that makes you feel amazing. You're like, oh my God, I get up, I do yoga every morning, or I lift weights, or I combine the two. But I think if you don't listen to how your body is responding things, or even like not even about working out or eating, just taking that time for yourself, like, hey, today I'm gonna go for an easy walk, convene with nature. I'm gonna call a friend. I'm gonna go hang out. Like, that's also part of my mindfulness is like, how are you taking care of yourself? In integrative nutrition, they talk a lot about like a pie, and there's often, there's like, yes, there's nutrition and movement, but then there's also how is your sleep? How do you practice spirituality, if any type of spirituality? How is your social life? What is your work life like? So, and if you create that pie and you say to everyone, okay, right here is where you're the best, right in the center. And then the farther out you go is where it's not doing well. And people be like, oh, I work out, I eat well, I take no time for myself. My family's okay. I never see my friends. Then you can also start to see like where there's like disconnect in terms of like movement, in terms of nutrition, in terms of just taking care of ourselves. And women in particular, we put ourselves second,
Mm,
third, fourth all the time.
yeah.
And women in menopause, a lot of them are what they call your sandwich years, because
Mm.
you typically have teenagers. I do not, I don't have children, but a lot of my clients will have children who are like preteen to teenagers, maybe young 20s, and then aging parents.
Oh,
And then
sure.
you're right in the middle. And as someone who only has the one side, like an aging parent that, is cognizant but physically needs help, like
Mm.
I can't imagine then on the other hand, having, someone who's like, well, I gotta get to, I mean, especially the way kids are scheduled these days.
Right?
Oh,
Oh, no doubt.
that's
Right.
that's a lot of life. I don't know how these teenagers are doing it. Um, and for some of these women, they have really great partners, and some don't, or the partners have taken on a different role.
Yeah.
So, well, this is what I do to bring things in, and so, but this is what I need you to do, and then you're in this thing, and also a lot of women who are in perimenopause, then they have daughters who are starting periods.
Mm.
But you're both like
Funny. Right.
this. I love you, I hate you, we're fine. You know,
Right. Emotions are
and
wild.
oh my
Mm.
God, and it's like just before you hit perimenopause and you hang out with teenagers, you're like, oh God, your hormones. Then you have a day where you're just like,
Mm.
what? Oh, I'm fine. I don't understand. You're like, oh yes, this is what it's like. I know I have so much more empathy for like my
Right.
nieces. I'm like, oh God, it's hard.
It's
So
tough.
hard. I'm so sorry. Well, and boys too also are going through their fluctuation, but
For sure.
it's hard.
It's hard.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And I just totally, again, love what you said about that holistic approach. I believe the power of three. I
Yeah.
believe in anything that we do, the power of three. A three-legged table is much stronger than a two-legged table or a one-legged table. And so for you to be able to provide that support, that I know I'm coming back to emotional support, but we're more than life than just working out or just eating, or of course that mindfulness is really big. So having the power of three, I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
So, okay, you often say that health doesn't have to feel like a punishment. So for women who have been conditioned to push harder or
Mhm.
eat more, how do you reframe wellness for them?
Well, there is something when you're young, there's this idea of working out every single day, and your body can manage that because there's a lot of changes going on. So, what I do first is, what are your goals? Like, what
Mm,
is it that you want? So if you could, and if for women it varies, but often it's like, um, I want to sleep better. I want to feel more confident. I want to lose weight. I want to have more energy. Um, I want to be able to carve out time for myself. So then you break down their goals. And I think one of the best ways to do that, also to say to people, it's nothing's ever going to be 100%. Please don't push for 100%. We're going to go for 80 doing great, 20 maybe not so great, so that your weeks, so nothing feels like a failure, right? And you start with a small goal. So maybe the first small goal is carving out time for myself, which is not a small goal. That's a huge goal. So then it's like, okay, let's take a look at your week. Okay, take a look at the times that you have. Do you have any time, especially if you're a 9 to 5, that you can like carve out time in the morning to like do a workout, or are you better to work out in the afternoon? Um, do you need something more at a lunchtime, or do you want to do health coaching first thing in the morning so you enter your day with a frame of mind, or do you want to come at it at the end of the day? You're like, woo, this is what I went through. How can I be stronger for tomorrow? So I think first is finding the right frame of mind of how you want your goals to be achieved.
Mm,
And what are your goals? Let's, define the goals. And and they can be, and I've had people like, I don't know, I want to lose weight and feel better.
right.
So then you break down, why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to feel better? So then you start to get into that. And then what I often tell women too, from what I have learned as we get older, like we need a day of rest. Like you can have an active day where you go for walks. I'm not asking you to lay on your couch all day. But, I think no one recognizes that even a day that you don't do something except clean your entire house, where you're up and down, moving things, washing, scrubbing, like that's a lot of energy that you're expending.
Yeah,
There's this idea that the only way we work out is when we go to the gym for like an hour to 2 hours.
right.
And we push it really hard, and I got to be really sore the next day. And I'm like, I've been doing Pilates for 15 years, and sometimes I get in 20 minutes, and sometimes I get in an hour. And with all of them, I feel it the next day. And like everyone wants to feel like they moved. Like we all kind of like that. Ooh, I worked out. Like
Right, right. Well,
fantastic. I mean, I get that. Absolutely. But I think when you break down your body so much that you cannot give yourself time to repair, and we just need it when we get older, which is fine. Like, who doesn't want to have a day where like, oh, I can't go to the gym. I've gone the last 3 days. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, that's okay. And you're going to see the results, and you're going to feel better if you pull back. But for women who are really used to pushing it, I usually start with like, let's take a day where you go
Yeah.
for a walk. Let's just start there. And that's all I want you to do for 2 weeks, just for one. So 2 times in the next 14 days, you're going to do a walk. And I want you to take notice how your body feels. And often they'll be like, oh yeah, I kind of had a little more energy when I took Saturday off and then started back up on Sunday.
Mm,
Then I talk to them about, how do you feel about mixing up your workouts? So there's this kind of idea of 3-2-3-2-8, which I like. So it's like 3 days of lifting weights or Pilates and yoga, and then 2 days of lifting weights, Pilates, yoga, and hitting for about 8,000 steps a day. And then you've got these 2 days wherever they fall, and that may vary. For some women, that's going to vary a lot. And for some women, it's like, that is Saturday and Sunday,
yeah.
And so you also have to make it work for you. But I'm like, through that, you are going to see more of the results that you want to see. You're going to see yourself making gains in holding a plank longer, or maybe adding 2 to 10 more pounds on a weight bar, or for those lovely runners who I envy so much,
I
you
know.
might be getting a little farther or going a little bit faster. Like taking that time for your body to like, okay, we're going to repair ourselves. And for a lot of women too, then they also start to see the results that they want to see, which is absolutely like, if you want to see results, you should. And for some women, it's more of a feeling, but it's also a physical thing that we can see. Eating more to get more. Again, I just go back to let's learn about your hunger and let's learn about your full. You know, all women probably need a little more protein and fiber,
Mm,
and that's hard to get in. I mean, I eat a lot of natural foods, but I take a fiber supplement, and I eat a lot of vegetables, but I'm like, yeah, let's take the little fiber. It's not tasty.
right.
In a lot of water, or throw it in a smoothie. But those things are needed. And they actually, when you take in a little more protein and fiber, you will feel fuller longer. So I think there's sort of less of the need to like, oh, I have to keep putting it in. I have to keep putting it in.
Yeah.
And also just sort of like, getting into the why. It's the same, it's the other side of the coin. Like, why do you think you need to eat less to get this result? Because often maybe you eat less and you'll see some results in terms of like, oh, I feel faster, I have more energy. But then how do you get to the place where you're like, and now I'm at a good place and I want to stay here? Right. So recognizing how that feels. And it's the same with the other side, like, oh, I need to eat more to get this. Well, what is it? What is this that you want to get?
Yeah.
Like women who are weight lifters will probably eat more than a yoga person because they're like, I want to get more weight under me that I can press up.
Yeah.
But then I would also say go talk to someone who's really qualified in weightlifting. It's the other thing to know your wheelhouse.
Yeah, right. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's that message out in the world, or at least what I grew up with that message is it's a simple solution. Move more, eat less.
Oh yeah.
And like you said earlier on, that it's not a one size fits all solution. And so we have, especially in the different stages of life,
Yeah.
especially with women, different stages of life, different hormones going on from teens to now perimenopause. It's like, no, there's lots of data that is needed to understand exactly what that right fit is for you.
And to really honor that with yourself. Like,
Yeah.
even your sister might be doing it differently than you. And you're like, wow, God, my sister walks every day with 2-pound weights and made all these changes, and I'm trying it and nothing's happening. And then you start doing yoga and wall planks or some whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was like, oh, so it's finding what that works for you and then like motivates you to go back to doing it the next day. But also understanding the 80-20 that you might have 2 days that don't go well.
Yeah.
You think, well, I can go back that third day.
Yeah. I mean, life comes at us, right? I mean, my latest tagline is life is messy and it's
Yeah.
okay. It's embracing the messiness, right? A lot of us, like you said, whether we all have a lot of things going on. It may be different. We may be dealing with elderly parents and dealing with children and dealing with our business or careers, dealing with our own emotional support needs and physical needs, mental needs, and all of that. And so even though life isn't perfect, it's a little messy. It looks perfect on paper, but there's lots of things coming at us, and we need to know that we can be flexible.
Yeah.
And also, I think about that message of move more, eat less. It's it's taking baby steps, like you said. It's like really, in the end, isn't the ultimate goal is to create that lifestyle that we can sustain. It's
Mhm.
not a quick fix. It's most of it is a lifestyle change. And in order to do that, if that's really what we want to do as a lifestyle change, then it's going to take some time to swap those habits that we've created and we're working on today. And a lot of my so-called bad habits would have come from working myself to death. I mean, literally giving everything to my career. And so what dropped? My health and wellness, my workout routine, my eating habits went to a quick, easy grab and go. And so that had, I've worked, that's been my habits for many, many, many years. And so
Mhm.
now saying, hey, I want to go back to a healthy lifestyle, I'm just going to move more and eat less. That's not that easy. And it's not the right solution. And it's not sustainable.
Mhm.
So figuring out what that is, what that formula is for each individual. And like you said, it could be different.
Can be different. And one of the things I learned a lot with the menopause certification is they talk to people, they're like, when you talk to people about nutrition, you can talk about what are you adding in,
Mm,
right? So I'm adding in more protein. I'm adding in more fiber. I'm adding in more vegetables of color. Like when you focus more on what you're giving yourself, because we're all going to focus, like if you're like, well, no more sugar for you, we will become so focused on that sugar,
yeah.
and some people have a true addiction to it.
Yeah.
But if you're like, well, what if I just am slowly like adding in more of this and then that becomes a little bit less. Like it can be the focus of like, what am I giving to myself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and I think a lot we get focused on, like you said, move more and eat less. So then what is it that I'm taking away? And everyone know who I have worked with, when they have to like take things away completely, they just get really frustrated. Because also the minute you eat it or drink it or whatever it is, guilt. Well,
Yeah.
now I've ruined it. So what does it matter anymore?
Yep. Judgment.
Mhm.
Judging ourselves, shaming, guilt, all of that.
Well,
And it's like those small little swaps. So like an example for me, I drink a cup of coffee every morning. It's not because I like the coffee, it was because I like the cream that went in the coffee. And then one day I decided, I looked at the ingredients of the cream that I'm using. I'm like, yeah, the ingredients list is, 2 books long. Can't pronounce half of it. Probably not the best that I want to put in my body, but I do like a little sweeter taste.
yeah,
So it was just started swapping it out, the creamer first. I mean, for the, to the flavored creams to half and half, but then still adding in a little flavor, maybe a splash of the flavored cream,
yeah,
and until I got to the swapping that out, that I no longer use the flavored cream, I then swapped that out with the protein shake, a flavored protein shake for a while. And then I finally got to read it because the protein shake also had an ingredients list that was not necessarily in my best interest,
oh
unfortunately.
God, yeah, I
And I'm
know.
sure, and there might be clearer ones out there. But anyway, then I finally went to, oh, now I'm drinking coffee with, I have my creamer, cinnamon, organic vanilla. I sweeten it with a little organic maple syrup, and
Nice.
I love it. It's like a little latte, but it did not happen overnight. So it was like those small steps of changing those habits than to getting into something healthier. At least
Yeah, you're and that is exactly right. Like taking it one thing at a time. It's like I had a client who was terrible at drinking water,
mm,
hated it, bored her to death. And I'm
right.
like, I said, and it also at the same time, the same health coaching time, I had a guy who's like, yeah, I'm really bad at water. And to each of them, I said, okay, I'm going to talk to you next week, right? We had it on the calendar. And I'm like, I want you every day when you're like, I've had enough to drink 2 more ounces of water.
Mm,
That's it.
yeah.
They're like, not another cup. I'm like, nope. So what had happened by the time we got around to the week, because they're also like, well, if I can do 2, I can do 4. And granted, it's water, right?
Yeah.
They're not trying to completely take away, change something else. But I'm like, if you can just do this for an entire week, just a little bit, awesome, going well. Now let's make it 4 ounces.
Yeah.
And that's the same like what you did. It was, you're like, okay, I want to make some changes, but if I change it all right now, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do X, doing that for a while. That works. Okay, now I'm going to do this. And I'm do this. And it's also finding something that makes you happy. I mean, you don't want to completely change something around and then have a cup of coffee that you hate. I mean, I love having a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I actually look forward to it. There's like a little ritual with it. I'm like, yes, I'm all in. I'm so happy with it.
I mean, I can't give up all of my vices all at one in one
Oh my
day.
God, no, I am too Danish and Irish. I will never give up coffee.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay, so you work with women through big transitions like
Yeah.
perimenopause, menopause, and emotional eating struggles, as we've discussed. So, what's a common thread you see, and how do you help women reconnect with themselves during these seasons?
Common thread I see is a lot of women feel guilt over a choice that they'll make throughout the day. And then they also feel the pressure to um, make the change and have it stick immediately.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
So, and the two are often combined.
yeah.
So, whether you're in perimenopause, and actually, one of the things that is rising in the perimenopause world is women with emotional eating triggers, or
Mm,
women who have disordered eating, not so much an eating. I mean, I can't speak to an eating disorder, not being a therapist or a doctor, but because there is so much pressure as we age that, we're not supposed to age, right?
right.
And I have to laugh now when I was like, God, remember when you were 42 and people thought you were 36 and you felt so great, which is fine. But I'm like, there's actually not that much difference between those two times.
Right.
Like, you know, and also as I have gotten older, and I think it only happens when you get older, is the privilege you understand of getting to age.
Yeah.
So often the thread is just sort of like, I feel guilty because I don't look like I did 10 years ago. I'm not, whether that's working out, whether that's the way I ate, whether it's the way I look, whether it's the way I treat myself, my life has changed and everything I'm doing is not working. And so therefore, I can't attain any of the goals that I want.
Mm,
So again, I start breaking it down into what is it that you want to attain? Like, what does that look like to you? Right. And so then they start to break down, well, if things look really, like this, then, I'd look like Elle McPherson or something. I'm like, well, we all look like
right.
McPherson. But then they also start to be like, I guess I just really, am not finding time for myself, or I seem to have like these little increments throughout the day and I'm like, okay, well, in those increments throughout the day, what is it that you can do?
Mm,
What is it? What is it that you feel like can be accomplished? And that goes back again to this sort of 80-20, where or like, hey, just drink 2 ounces of water for a week.
mm,
Because I think when people accomplish something and then they see that they can do it, like that's such a feeling of like empowerment.
mm-hmm.
And then you can get into, okay, the next goal. So I've accomplished drinking more water. I am on it. I don't, for the most part, don't have to think about it too much. Like I
Yeah.
have days where I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm like, oh, I've hardly had any water.
Right.
Ridiculous. I do this for a living and I've hardly had any myself. And then you bring in the next goal, and then we do that for a while. And then they start to feel accomplished by that. And then it kind of gets easier to add in, feeling good, all the additions, like all the things that we're changing. All right. So all of a sudden they're finding like, hey, you know what? I don't have a full hour, but I do have two little half hours. I can go for a walk in the morning, get my day. I can go for a walk after dinner. Or I can close my office door and do a little 15-minute meditation at 10:30 because I have it blocked out on my calendar, as calendar work, and I'm like, whatever you want to say,
Right.
or for a young mom, like when your baby's taking a nap, like what is it that I don't work as much with young mothers as I do with mothers on the other side of babyhood, but I'm like, what is it that you can do for yourself in that moment? And maybe that's you taking a nap,
Right.
and you're like, well, I don't want to not hear my kid wake up. I'm like, well, then set a timer,
Yeah.
or, um, or even my clients who are really busy with the computer, I'm like, okay, I want you to do what you can for an hour and a half. I think you had talked to me originally about time blocking when I first
Mhm.
ever met you,
Yeah.
and do a little time block. And then I want you to take a break.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just looking away and stretching for 5 minutes, taking that time to like be within yourself, and then you can come back. So I think what I want from women with these common threads is I want them to have that feeling of empowerment that they can accomplish it and that they don't have to look at like already what the accomplishment is.
Mm,
We can all look at like, I can look at Helen Mirren from 20 some years ago when she was like putting her feet underneath her and standing and waltzing out of a room.
right.
And I wanted to be that like right away, but I had to like take more community ed classes. Then I decided, then I really upped my game on that. And then I decided I wanted to teach it. And that's like a year and a half of
Mm,
classes and hours and teaching and watching. And, so it's just sort of these little things. Now, do I have patience for my own business sometimes? No.
right.
But but I recognize, I'm better at for myself being like, oh, today was that 20%. Tomorrow can be the 80. Um, I think you feel accomplished and empowered when you can see the goals starting to stack up. We also have to understand what the goals actually are.
Mm,
And then also kind of connecting to like, why do you feel guilty that it's not there? And that is different for all of them,
yeah.
varying levels, or some of them feel guilty because they want to make these changes.
Yeah. And don't you think we're in a society of fast action, like fast results? And that's just not, again, that's not the way life is. That's not reality. But I think you also hit on something very important. And as much as I say it, I also forget it. And that is the celebration.
Mhm.
And it is the celebration of that little thing, whether I walk 3 days times this week, I took 15 minutes out for myself, whatever, 2 3 times this week, I drink 2 ounces of water extra every day, whatever that may be. It's really to acknowledge that and to celebrate that. And even if it's just to go into the bathroom and say, I did it, and look in your
Yes.
mirror and hit a high five, right?
I have a business coach, and she had said to me, I celebrate an $11 sale of
Mm.
someone who's just paying me $11 for a little tiny workbook to my um to my $5,000 client.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the
She's
same.
like, I got this person who wants to be with me, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna help this person as well. And I think it's the same. Like we need to celebrate all of them. I mean, for sure there's smaller wins and bigger wins, but I think to feel the joy in it is what's really important because, there's plenty out there right now that will tell you
Yeah.
that's not good enough, that's not well enough,
Mm.
you could have done it this way and you'd already be here. And I think for women, like we're so targeted. Like I mean, I love social media for a lot of the great things that I can watch fun little, I mean, right now I'm all into like people rescuing animals and they didn't know that they rescued a fox and then they have a fox,
Oh
all
my.
into that. Or the orcas destroying yachts, that for some reason I'm into that as well. But but I also get on there a lot and I see a lot of things really aimed at women. And right now, because it's really popular, really aimed at women who are in my age bracket of like, oh, you can have people think you're 30. And I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm 30.
Right. That's
I'm
interesting.
I don't. Like I was 30.
Yeah.
Now I'm not. I
Yeah.
got to be this age. I made it to this age. And I think that's important, or, oh, you can look, and it's not that I don't fall for it. Like I tried this one liquid collagen for a while and all the videos kept coming in. And then I had a client ask me about it. So I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do it because I can write it off.
Right.
And there was no change, like not the way this video is expressing. And I tried it for like 5 months and I'm like, oh, this is not worth it. I don't like the taste. I don't like it's
Right.
not worth it. And I went back to my cheaper powders, which make me feel great.
Yeah.
So, we are so inundated as women, how
Yeah.
we should look, how we should act, and you can do this. And it is hard to weed it out.
It's hard. Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. It's like I thought I had something else, but I've lost it. So
Sorry.
hold on.
I
No,
can babble. I get very excited about this, so I can babble.
no, I love your passion. I can definitely feel your passion, and this is amazing. And I think it's a great topic for women, for us to listen to, but it's something that to continue to remind ourselves, right? That we
Yes.
are perfect exactly the way that we are. If we choose that we want to make some changes in our lives, great. And there's people out here that can support us in doing so. And that it isn't just that one size fits all. Like you said, we get inundated with all of this marketing of just do this, like just, whatever. I don't even know what the latest is, but take a pill. Well, I do know what the latest is, but and so it's not, it's to say, I don't want to follow that path
Right.
and it's okay. And I'm perfect the way I am. I want to make some changes, but I want to do it the way it fits for me. And for remembering to celebrate how amazing we are every day. I think it's
Yes.
something that is as a to remind ourselves for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so for women that are listening who feel overwhelmed by all the wellness shoulds, as we're talking about, what's one simple starting place that you'd suggest?
Well, first of all, I would say if you are overwhelmed by what you get thrown at to you from social media, because we
Mm.
do,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of us are these days. We're all scrollers. You can silence those people.
Mm.
Like you can, "No, I'm not following. I don't want to see this."
Mm.
Um, just little tiny actions that feel kind of powerful.
Ah, it
Um,
doesn't work for me. It's okay.
yeah, like I don't need to see this, and it's not even like to mock the people who are trying to sell you something or this woman who's like, hey, I did this you know, and I'm Elle McPherson. It's just,
Yeah.
if it's making you, because there used to be this, I remember when I was young and I read that women will feel bad about themselves within 10 minutes of looking at a fashion magazine.
Mm,
We don't really do magazines anymore. Now we do social media. So
yeah.
I think it's really important to like, how can I take care of this? The first line of defense, right? Is what am I looking at? What am I taking in? And
Yeah.
why does it make me feel bad? And taking that time to do it. The other small thing I say to people is go for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get up, move away from whether it's TV, whether it's your phone, whether it's an argument with somebody, whether it's, yeah, I don't know, like maybe no one your family's listening to and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk, and it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 10 minutes. You can go around the block, get outside, take some breaths, because I think when we start to separate ourselves, like when you want to change, right? There's plenty of things out there that will tell you how you can do it, how you can do it effectively, how you can do it quickly.
Yeah.
Try those and then get discouraged because it's not working the way you had hoped. But then it's like, but why do I keep getting drawn to this? Why do I keep getting drawn to these movement apps? But they're not working. Well, maybe then what I need is an instructor who sees me one on one. And you don't have to have an instructor forever. And I recognize people need to, financially take care of themselves. But it's like, is there a very small class that I can go to and pay a class price? Or does someone have an introductory week? Or is there a teacher? Like I will do payment plans with people if they can't pay me everything up front.
Yeah.
You know, we'll work that out. So maybe the movement is taking, you're like, well, I clearly want to do movement, but these quick apps where, I do 700 hollow holds every day is not working for me.
Right.
I don't think that's a thing. I hope not. But, but I do like what this. So where can that lead me? Or, maybe it's all the food things and you're like, I don't know how to take care of the food stuff and I keep looking here. So maybe it's like, is there a recipe, like finding, maybe your mom had a cookbook that you loved.
Mm,
Okay, and you're like, oh, I really like this recipe. And this is me going out and getting the ingredients. Now again, maybe you don't have the time, but can you pre-order the groceries and show up and have them?
yeah. Oh,
Can-
yeah. That's
yeah,
another thing that COVID gave us, really, right? There's bit different ways to do it, to do things. So,
absolutely. I buy. And and there's also it's okay to buy little things that make your life easier. Like I'll spend a little extra money to have my carrots already,
mhm,
chopped up for me.
right.
And I reckon, and I could buy carrots and I could do all this but I'm like, no, I just want the carrots done. I
Yeah.
just want to eat the carrot.
Right.
That's all I want.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So taking so that's I'm like, step away from whatever's kind of causing it. And it can even just be like turning off the TV or like turning away from it and taking a deep breath, and then going for a walk. And then being able to recognize why am I keep being drawn to that, even though it maybe doesn't make me feel good about myself, but there's something in that. Well, they are talking about nutrition. Well, they are talking about mindfulness. They are talking about movement.
Mm,
These are things that I know that I want. And probably reaching out to friends is the other thing I say. Do they have someone that they really like or someone they follow that they feel really comfortable with? I think all that's important. Curate what you're looking at for yourself.
yeah, for sure. Look, definitely would look through the lens of discernment for sure. What it is that you want to take in. I love that. Okay, going back to menopause. Menopause often gets framed as lost or framed as loss or decline. What do you wish more women understood about this stage of life?
Then I think there's a big freedom in it.
That's really good.
Like it can be very hard for some, like they're like, my hormones all over the place. I am not sleeping. I hate my spouse. I low with my job. I have brain fog. So I'm not trying to, not a brain frog, a brain fog. I can't speak words well.
Yeah.
Um, like all of that is true. Like, so I'm not trying to Pollyanna it and be like, don't, but I mean, I do want women to look at this time and I'm like, I'm going through a change and I can control. There are things that I can do. I can do certain movements that are going to feel better. I can eat certain foods that are going to make me feel better. I can figure out how I want to speak to myself. If I need to do an HRT, like I can find a way, like, one of my hopes is when women, either go to any of my free workshops or work with me, I'm like, these are ways that you can speak to your provider if you are wanting to talk about an HRT.
Mm,
And if they're not listening to you, get a new provider, like go to a different provider.
yeah.
I'm not asking you to like fire your family doctor, but maybe go find someone who's like, yes, I understand women and we can talk about this. But every woman I know who doesn't have a period anymore are like, it is so great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Share whatever I want, act whatever I want when I go on vacation. Um, I can do things like, some women will have symptoms their whole lives, but most of them, like my symptoms have calmed down. So now I know when I have a headache, well, it's because I had a glass of wine at 10 p.m. Like I understand what brought me to this place.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, I don't know what's happening. So I think there's also a way that sometimes I'll do a mission statement with women in menopause and it's like their power statement. And it's like,
Mhm.
in menopause, like through menopause, I want to be able to, get on and off the floor with grandkids, hike the Grand Canyon, and take a painting class. Like it doesn't have to define what is happening to you in this moment.
Yeah.
A hot flash. Okay. So, you bring fans, you drink cool water, you bring a change of clothes. No one's really going to notice if you are wearing two different types of white shirts. If they do notice, they can pay more attention to themselves.
Right.
Um, like I think also just being like, this is where I'm at right now, but it is not who I am. It's what is happening in this. So I want women to have a freedom because it is true that also when you turn 50, you do have a much more of a I don't give an F.
Mm,
Like it is a real feeling.
yeah.
You're like, I don't have time to worry about you.
Mm, yeah.
You know? So I think getting to that place and embracing it, things are gonna change, but there are good resources out there to help you with it. And I
Yeah.
think you feel better also I mean, there's a lot of empowerment, like, oh, this food doesn't make me feel good. So like doing different things with different foods and then all of a sudden finding this great recipe that makes you feel amazing. Like I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Like I can't eat flourless chocolate cake like I used to. So, which is, a little bit of a bummer for me, but at the same time I'm like, but I can do like these little cupcakes
Yeah.
and I feel fine. It's just things are changing. It doesn't mean that I'm giving something up. It means I'm just adding something else in.
I love that. So you do other things. I mean, in addition to your Pilates, your wellness coaching, your menopause coaching, all of that, you also do retreats. And speaking of a retreat, you have one coming up in Mallorca. Can you share what inspired it and what women can expect from that experience?
I always knew I wanted to do retreats. And I remember working with a different coach at the time, and she's like, well, let's, put one on your vision board. And I think in her head, she was thinking I would do a weekend in Duluth. And I I chose Costa Rica. And
Right.
she's like, well, go big or go home. And eh, you know, I wanted the idea of like, let's take people to a location that is new to them, right?
Mm,
And yes, if you live in a city and go to Montana, that's a new experience. But I'm also like, what is it like to go and absorb another culture? Like
nice.
one of the great things about Costa Rica is they have this expression pura vida, which
Yes, I was
and they
on one of
mean it.
Claire's retreats.
They mean it. They're just like pura vida.
Yeah.
They're like this is life. And one of the things that I think is great with going also to other countries is not only do you get to travel, and I think travel is such a great experience in our lives that if you have, if you're in a place, I get for some, it's a place of privilege. So I want to
Mhm.
honor that. But, to be able to experience other cultures is nothing but enriching.
Yeah.
And you can do
Agree.
that in your own city. I mean, I think Anthony Bourdain has a really great cook, I live in New York City and I go to these different neighborhoods and I experience all these different things. Like do that, like experience where you live.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that people can expect from my retreats is, I'm going to have, ways that you can explore the country that you're in. So whether that's walks on the beach or horseback riding, or in Costa Rica, we did zip lining. In Mallorca, there'll be sea kayaking and some hikes, but there's also going to be going to a winery and learning about the wine and then getting to do wine tasting. And there's going to be a cooking class. So getting to cook like the foods of Spain.
Yeah.
Like, I think to be able to take something back that is deeper than a souvenir, I love getting souvenirs. I always like to find jewelry, but
Mm.
I always bring something back. Like I
Yeah.
always bring back like, wow, I learned something about this other that I had no idea. Or I met someone from Germany and I never would have met them.
Mm.
Yes, can that happen on a downtown bus? Absolutely. But I mean, why not add a little bit of, paradise around you as well? A lot of the women, and I've had some men who've come on the retreats as well, what they have said is like, I feel like I got to reset. I
Mm.
feel like I got to re-examine, and I feel like I got to re I don't know what the next re would be, but I re-entered my life and
Mm.
I came at it with a different point of view.
I love.
And how can I bring like those feelings from the retreat beyond like, hey, I took a vacation, I did Pilates twice a day, did some swimming, drank some wine, ate some food that I would never make, but
Mm.
what else can I bring back with me?
Yeah. And it's
And
the
I think
connection.
the connection. And
Mm.
some of these people who've done these retreats, they're still friends and still reach out.
Nice.
These are walks of life that would have never known each other.
For sure. Absolutely. Awesome. So, if you could leave women with one message about listening to their body instead of battling it, what would it be?
I would say lean into it and embrace your change.
Mm.
Embrace the change.
Embrace
Change can
the
be
change.
scary, but change is exciting.
Yeah,
And you get to redefine yourself if you want to. I'd also say ask for help if you need it.
for sure.
As
Don't be
women,
afraid.
we're
Mm.
not, we're often told to do not ask for help. Ask for help.
Yeah, I go back to the education system when we were taught, I mean, we were scored on how much we knew, and it was really in our understanding what our IQ was, all of that.
Yeah.
And so not asking for help when you were struggling. I don't know. I think there's something to that. That just popped into my head when you were
No,
saying
I
breath.
hear you. I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say to someone, oh, and embrace who you are and love everything, but it's also, I think, respect and find joy in the journey of your change.
I love that. That's such a great statement. Life is a journey and it is to be enjoyed on all different stages. There's something amazing about it. And for me too, is like, I think that I feel like we mourn what we feel like we're releasing as we're going through different stages of life. And I'm all about releasing, and releasing opens up the door, opportunities, different possibilities. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what opportunities are coming our way. So I love that. Definitely embracing the joy of the
And I
journey.
think, yeah, every little failure is
Yeah.
bring you closer to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, that brings me into another topic, but I will say, I know I want to say definitely, I want to thank you, Claire, for sharing your wisdom and your heart with us today. And if there are those of our listeners and viewers out there that want to know more about how they can connect with you, more about all your programs that you offer, or are interested in your retreat, how would they find you?
So they can either go to the defineryllc.com, my website, or I'm Claire Riordan on CLARE on Instagram and Facebook. I put a lot of stuff there. Or email me, Riordan, RIORDAN .Claire, no, ARE, at Gmail.
I love that. And we will definitely put your contact information in the show notes. And I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank you for sharing your heart, your inspiration, and helping women really become stronger, confident, and connected.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. And thanks for doing this. I think this is fabulous.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
again, I'm really touched that you asked me to be on it.
You're one of my favorite people. I cannot say enough about Claire. I've been in her Pilates boot camps. I've been on retreats. She's one of my favorite people. Connect with her if you have any questions.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Have a good
listening.
day.
Yeah, thanks.